Every month, I sit down at my kitchen table with a cup of coffee, a pen, and a few bills. Not because I enjoy it, but because I have learned that small habits can make a big difference. At 70 years old, I do not try to chase more. I try to focus on enough. Over the years, I have picked up a handful of habits that help me spend less each month without giving up comfort or peace of mind. Today, I want to share 10 simple habits that have made my life easier, lighter, and more meaningful. These are not complicated rules or big sacrifices, just quiet, steady practices that help me live well while spending less. 1. Fix, instead of replace, one day a month. There was a time when fixing something broken was just a normal part of life. You didn't throw out a chair because one leg got loose. You didn't buy a new shirt because a button popped off. You just took out your tools, sat down, and made it right. These days, though, it feels like the world is wired for replacing instead of repairing. Things are cheaper, faster, more disposable. And I'll admit, I fell into that pattern too. But one day, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, I was about to toss out a small table lamp. The light had stopped working, and my first thought was, guess I'll just buy a new one. But then I stopped myself. I had fixed plenty of lamps before. I still had a drawer full of old screws, glue, and wire, so I sat down with that lamp and got to work. It took me 20 minutes. When it lit up again, I didn't just save $20, I felt proud. I felt useful. Since then, I've made it a habit. Once a month, I pick one thing in the house that's broken, loose, squeaky, or worn, and I fix it. Nothing fancy, just simple things that need a little attention. A drawer that sticks, a hinge that creaks, a pair of pants that needs stitching. Sometimes I do it with my granddaughter and show her how things used to be done. She likes learning, and I like passing something down. The best part is, this habit has saved me money without feeling like a sacrifice. I am not missing out on anything. In fact, I've grown more connected to the things I already have. When you fix something with your own hands, it becomes yours in a deeper way. It also reminds you that just because something is worn doesn't mean it's useless. That applies to furniture, and to people too. So now I keep a little notebook with a page titled Fix It List. Every time I notice something around the house that needs attention, I jot it down. Then on the first Saturday of the month, I pick 1 or 2 things and take care of them. It's become a quiet ritual. Put on a little music, roll up my sleeves, and give something a second life. This habit is not about being cheap. It is about being thoughtful, about refusing to throw money at every small problem, and about remembering that with a little time and care, most things, including ourselves, can be restored. 2. Swap one brand name item for generic. I used to be loyal to certain brands, toothpaste, peanut butter, laundry detergent. I believed that if I paid a bit more, I was getting something better. That belief stuck with me for years. It was not until my grandson pointed it out during a grocery trip that I began to reconsider. He picked up 2 jars of peanut butter. One was the brand I always bought, and the other was the store brand. He said, "Grandpa, this one is half the price. Want to try it just once?" I agreed, mostly to humor him. But when we got home, we did a side-by-side taste test, and I have to admit, I could barely tell the difference. Neither could he. But my receipt certainly felt the savings. That moment started a habit. Each month, I choose one item I usually buy name brand, and I try the generic version. Not all of them are winners. There are still some brands I stick with. I will not compromise on coffee or my favorite soap. But most of the time, the generic version works just as well, sometimes better, and over the course of a year, those small swaps add up. What surprised me most was how automatic brand loyalty had become. I was not really choosing, I was just repeating. And that's the thing with habits. They can work for you, or they can work against you. This one shift, slowing down just enough to ask, "Is there a better option?" gave me back control. Now I actually enjoy comparing items when I shop. I look at ingredients, price per ounce where it's made. I feel more informed. I no longer buy things just because I always did. I buy them because they make sense. So if you're looking to spend less without cutting back too harshly, start here. Pick one item a month, just one. Try the store brand. Give it a fair shot. If you like it, great. You've found a cheaper option. If not, go back next month, but keep trying. Over time, you might find that what you're really buying is not just groceries. You're buying a little more freedom with each choice. 3. Use what's in the house day. We've all had days when we open the fridge or the pantry and say, "There's nothing to eat," even though there's plenty in there. It just doesn't feel convenient. That's how it starts. The temptation to run out and grab something or place a quick delivery order online. A few years ago, I decided to try something different. Once a month, I set aside one full day to challenge myself. No spending, no shopping, no takeout. Just use what's already in the house. I call it Use What's in the House Day. It became one of my favorite habits, and a surprisingly fun one. It started as a money-saving idea, but it became something more. It made me creative. I found old cans of beans I had forgotten about, frozen vegetables I did not realize I had, leftover rice, half a lemon, some spices. Suddenly, I was making dishes I had never thought of before. Not every experiment was a success, but I always ended the day with a full stomach and a quiet pride. This habit has helped me cut down on waste, too. Food, cleaning supplies, even things like batteries or paper towels. You probably have more around the house than you think. When you stop to use them, you realize how often we overbuy simply out of habit or boredom. On Use What's in the House Day, I also avoid watching shopping channels or browsing sales online. It is a reset, a way to remind myself that I have enough for today. More than enough, actually. And it is not just about food. I pick a book I already own to read. I go through the closet and wear something I haven't worn in a while. I fix a drawer, repot a plant, or play music I already have on my old CDs. It's a quiet rebellion against the idea that joy always has to come from something new. So, I encourage you, pick one day a month. Write it on your calendar. Make it a challenge. You might be surprised by how satisfying it feels to make the most of what you already have. And at the end of the day, you will have spent nothing and gained something far more valuable. Gratitude. 4. Track one expense category closely. A few years ago, I realized something strange. I had no idea where my money was going. I paid my bills, bought what I needed, and still felt like my budget was leaking. But I could not say where the leaks were. So I tried something simple. Each month, I picked one spending category and tracked it. Just that one. One month, it was coffee. The next, it was groceries. Then gas. I kept a little notebook and wrote down every dollar I spent in that category for the entire month. What happened surprised me. Just the act of writing it down made me spend less. I became more aware. I hesitated before making a purchase. I asked myself, do I need this, or am I just reaching for it out of habit? This habit doesn't require fancy apps or spreadsheets, just a pen and paper. I still do it today. I rotate categories. Some months I learn a lot, like how I was spending more on snacks than I thought. Other months, I just confirm that I'm on track. Either way, the habit gives me control. What I love about this habit is that it's not about judging yourself. It's not about guilt. It's about seeing clearly. And when you see clearly, you can decide with more confidence. So if you feel like money slips through your fingers each month, try this. Pick one category. Write everything down for 30 days. Don't try to change it right away. Just observe. You'll be amazed what you learn. 5. Declutter and donate, or sell. One spot each month. Over the years, we gather things: mugs, scarves, kitchen gadgets, tools, decorations. Some of it we use every day. Some of it just sits there. I never meant to become someone with clutter, but somehow the drawers got full, the shelves got crowded, and the garage became a place where things go to disappear. A few years ago, I decided I'd had enough. I didn't want to live in a house that felt heavy, so I made a quiet promise to myself. Every month, I would declutter just one spot. Not the whole house, not a major overhaul, just one drawer, one cabinet, one shelf. That first month, I chose the junk drawer in the kitchen. You know the one. Old batteries, pens that don't work, coupons from 2 years ago, mystery keys to locks I no longer own. I emptied it all out, cleaned it, and only put back what I truly needed. It took less than an hour, but when I closed that drawer, I felt something shift. Like a weight had lifted. Since then, I've done a closet, the linen shelf, my tool bench, and the cabinet under the bathroom sink. Every time I ask myself a few questions. Have I used this in the past year? Does it serve a purpose? Would someone else get more use out of it than I do? If the answer is no, it goes into one of 2 boxes: donate or sell. I give what I can to the local thrift store or church group. The rest, I sell online with help from my daughter or grandson. It's not about making big money. It's about making space and sometimes putting a few dollars back in my pocket. There's something freeing about letting go of things that no longer serve you. It's not just physical space. It's mental space too. When your home feels clearer, your mind does too. You see what matters more easily. You breathe easier. And I'll tell you this, I haven't missed a single thing I've let go of. Not one. In fact, I often forget what was there in the first place. What I remember instead is the feeling of peace that follows. So now I look forward to it. One spot a month. That's it. Just enough to make progress, not enough to feel overwhelmed. Over time, that adds up to a lighter, simpler home and a clearer way of living. 6. Review one monthly bill for a better option. Bills have a way of creeping up on you. One year you're paying $40 for something, and the next thing you know, it's $75. You might not even notice the change right away. That's how they get you. Little increases, quiet fees, automatic renewals that nobody warns you about. I used to just pay my bills without thinking. I figured, well, that's just what it costs. But one month, I took a closer look at my phone bill and realized I was still paying for a landline feature I hadn't used in years. Call waiting, voicemail forwarding, some kind of premium service I didn't even remember signing up for. That day, I called the company and asked them to explain every single charge. In 10 minutes, they knocked $15 off my monthly bill. That one phone call taught me a powerful habit. Now, every month, I pick one bill, just one, and I review it. I look at what I'm being charged for. I ask myself, do I still use this? Is there a cheaper plan? Sometimes I call and ask for a discount. Other times, I look for a competitor offering a better rate. You'd be surprised how often companies are willing to lower your bill just because you asked. They don't advertise those deals. You have to speak up. And if they won't budge, I seriously consider switching. I did that with my car insurance last year, saved over $150 a year by moving to a smaller, local provider. This habit doesn't take long. I do it on the first Monday of the month. I sit down with my coffee, open one bill, and go through it line by line. Sometimes there's nothing to change, but often I find something. A forgotten subscription, a better plan, a sneaky fee. That adds up. The key is not trying to fix everything at once. One bill a month keeps it manageable. It also keeps you aware. And awareness is one of the most powerful tools you have when it comes to saving money. So if you want to spend less without tightening your belt too hard, try this. Pick one bill this month. Ask questions. Compare options. Negotiate. That one call could save you more than you think and give you a sense of control that money alone can't buy. 7. Share instead of buy solo. One of the best lessons I've learned in recent years is that we don't have to do everything or buy everything alone. Sharing used to be a natural part of life. Growing up, my neighbors would lend tools, swap recipes, share garden produce. Somewhere along the way, we started doing things separately, and it cost us more than money. A few months ago, I needed to buy birdseed. I like feeding the cardinals and blue jays in the backyard. The big bag was a better deal, but more than I needed. So I called my neighbor Joe and asked if he wanted to split it. He said yes, and we both saved a few dollars. We also had a nice chat in the driveway, which might have been the real reward. That small moment got me thinking, how often do we spend money on things we could share? Now, once a month, I take a moment to ask myself, is there something I can borrow, split, or trade instead of buying on my own? Sometimes the answer is yes. A neighbor and I now split bulk cleaning supplies. My daughter and I share a streaming service. I borrowed a ladder from a friend instead of buying one for a one-time task. This habit isn't just about saving money. It's about rebuilding connection. Every time I share something, I feel closer to someone. It creates trust. And it reminds me that independence doesn't have to mean isolation. We're not meant to do life alone. Sharing, whether it's a ride, a recipe, or a box of screws, helps us all spend less and live more. It also brings back something we've lost: community. So I encourage you, once a month, ask around. Is there something you can borrow? Something you can split? Something you can trade? You might save a few dollars, sure. But more importantly, you might build something that money can't buy: connection. 8. Plan free activities in advance. I used to think saving money meant cutting out fun. No movies, no dinners out, no adventures. That's what budgeting looked like to me, saying no to joy. But over time, I realized that was not true. What I needed was not less fun. I just needed to plan it differently. So I started a new habit. Every month, I look for 1 or 2 free or low-cost activities to put on my calendar. Not, maybe I'll go if I feel like it, but actually schedule them, like any important appointment. One month, I went to a free jazz concert at the library. Another time, I visited a local museum on a donation-only day. I took a picnic to the park, joined a walking group, and even attended a free gardening class at the community center. Each time, I came home feeling richer, and I had not spent more than a few dollars, if anything at all. Planning ahead makes all the difference. When the weekend rolls around and there's nothing to do, that's when we end up shopping or spending out of boredom. But when I already have something fun on the calendar, even if it's small, I look forward to it. And I'm not tempted to spend on something unnecessary. This habit has brought me more than savings. It has brought me new experiences, new people, and new memories, all without draining my wallet. It reminds me that joy doesn't have to cost a thing. You just have to make room for it. So try this. Each month, look for 1 free event near you. Mark it down. Invite a friend. Make it a ritual. You will not only spend less, you will live more. And you'll prove to yourself that comfort and happiness aren't sold in stores. They're found in the simple things we choose to do. 9. Keep a do not buy list. We all know what a wish list is. A list of things we want to buy someday. A new jacket, a kitchen gadget, maybe a newer phone. But a few years ago, I started doing something different. I started a list of things I decided not to buy. It started by accident. I was walking through the store and saw a nice pair of slippers. Soft, warm, and marked on sale. I picked them up, walked around with them for 10 minutes, then put them back. When I got home, I wrote in my notebook, "Did not buy slippers. Already have 2 good pairs." The next time I was tempted by something I didn't really need, I wrote that down too. Did not buy Bluetooth speaker. Radio still works fine. Before long, I had a whole page of things I didn't buy. And every time I looked at that list, I felt something strange. Not regret, but relief. That's when I realized this was more than a list. It was a habit, a new way of seeing myself. It reminded me that I am not missing out. I am choosing wisely, and I am free to say no. So now, every month, I keep my do not buy list going. I carry a small notebook in my pocket, and when I walk away from a purchase I don't truly need, I write it down. Sometimes it's something small, like a fancy pen. Other times it's something bigger, a kitchen appliance, a jacket, even a subscription. At the end of each month, I look back at that list, and I feel proud. I see all the money I saved. I see all the moments I paused, reflected, and made a conscious choice. The list is not about guilt. It's not about depriving yourself. It's about honoring your values. It's about remembering that just because something looks good doesn't mean you need it. Just because it's on sale doesn't mean it belongs in your home. So here's my advice. Start a do not buy list. Keep it somewhere visible, on your fridge, your desk, your phone. Every time you choose not to spend, celebrate that choice. Write it down. Over time, you'll notice something powerful. That list will feel more rewarding than any shopping trip ever did. 10. Celebrate progress, not purchases. There was a time in my life when buying something new felt like a reward. A new shirt after a long week, a dinner out to lift my mood, a gadget to distract me. And for a while it worked. It felt good. But the feeling never lasted. What I was really craving was not the thing. It was a sense of progress, a sense that something in my life was moving forward. So I made a small but powerful shift. I started celebrating what I did not buy. At the end of each month, I take a few minutes to reflect, not on what I added to my life, but on what I chose to do differently. I look at my spending, my habits, my little victories. I write down 3 or 4 moments I'm proud of. Skipped takeout twice this month. Canceled a service I no longer use. Used up everything in the fridge before buying more. Each item is small on its own, but together they show me that I'm moving in the right direction, that I'm being thoughtful, that I'm honoring the life I've worked so hard to build. The truth is, we often measure success by what we can afford, but I think real success, especially in this season of life, is measured by what we can walk away from and how at peace we feel when we do. Now, instead of buying something to reward myself, I reward myself by noticing how far I've come. I'll sit with a cup of tea and read over my little list. I'll call a friend and share one of my small wins. Or I'll write in my journal, just to remind myself that every little step matters. This habit has shifted how I see money. It's no longer about what I can buy. It's about how I live. And every time I choose not to spend on something unnecessary, I feel a little stronger, a little freer, a little more aligned with who I really want to be. So if you're looking for a way to stay motivated on your saving journey, don't wait for a big goal to celebrate. Celebrate the little moments now. Write them down. Acknowledge them. Honor them. Because those small steps, they're what build a life of peace. If you're still here with me, thank you. Not just for your time, but for your attention, your care, and your willingness to think differently about what it means to live well. These 10 habits may seem small, but I can tell you from experience, they've changed the way I live. Not overnight, not with grand gestures, but slowly, quietly, month by month. And that's the beauty of it. spending less does not have to feel like punishment. It can feel like wisdom, like intention, like finally listening to that quieter voice inside you that says, I already have enough. I'm not a financial expert. I'm just someone who has lived a long life, made plenty of mistakes, and learned that simplicity is a kind of wealth. And sharing that with you, well, that's something I consider a privilege. If even one of these habits speaks to you, I hope you'll give it a try this month. And if you do, I'd love to hear how it goes. Leave a comment, share your thoughts, or come back next time. You're always welcome here. Until then, take care of yourself. Spend wisely. Live gently. And remember, the best things in life are often the ones that money can't buy.